basics of the quadratic formula, okay? So the quadratic formula is negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Okay, so that's the quadratic formula. And okay, so basically, what are these letters? Okay, so let's say we have the equation 2x squared plus 4x minus 6. Okay, so basically, the a is going to be the 2, the b is going to be the 4, and then the c is going to be the 6. Okay, so basically in this equation, this quadratics, it would be negative b, which is 4, plus or minus the square root of b squared, which is 4 squared, so that's 16, minus 4 times 2 for a, and that times negative 6 for c. Okay, and all that over 2 times 2 for a. Okay, so this is our quadratic formula. Okay, when we plug this stuff in, now first you're going to start with inside of the radical. Okay, so basically you're going to multiply the negative 4, the 2, and the negative 6. So negative 2 times negative 6 is negative 12 times negative 4 equals positive 48. So we get 16 plus 48 equals 64. So the square root of 64, that's going to be 8, okay? So we get negative 4 plus or minus 8 over 2 times 2 is 4. So this is what we have now. This is more simplified. And so what we want to do is we want to simplify this, okay? So basically, since there's a square root, the answer can be positive or negative, okay? Because the square root of 64 can be a positive 8 or negative 8. Okay, so we're going to start with positive. First, we're going to do negative 4 plus 8 is 4. Then divided by 4 equals 1, okay? So x can equal 1, or if we have a negative, negative 4 minus 8 is negative 12 over 4 equals negative 3, okay? So that means that in this equation, x can equal 1 or x can equal negative 3. Those are the zeros on the quadratic graph, okay? So that's basics. That's the basics of a quadratic formula. So now I'm going to teach you on where the square root is a nice pretty number, okay? It's going to be irrational. So how you do that, we're going to make a random equation that we can do this with that will give us an ugly number, okay? So we're going to use the equation 2x squared plus 12x plus 8, okay? Yeah, that has no pretty numbers in it, okay? Those are ugly numbers, okay? Well, I mean, it's going to. So, basically, okay, we're going to switch this to 9 for practical reasons, okay? Because if they're all divisible by 2, we can just divide the whole thing by 2. We're not going to do that. Okay, so now we have this. We're like, well, I can't think of anything to factor with, so we're just going to use the quadratic formula, okay? So we're going to get negative 12, because this is b, this is c, this is a, okay? So negative 12 plus or minus the square root of b, 12 squared, minus 4 times 2 for a, times 9 for c, okay? So now we're going to put this all divided by 2 times 2 for a. Okay, so we're going to start the radical part, remember? So we're going to have 144 for the 12 squared, and we're going to have negative 4 times 2 equals negative 8, times 9 equals negative 72. So we're going to do minus 72. To do the math, that's 2, okay, that's 72. It's half, okay? So that works out really nicely. Okay, so we have 72. Okay, so after we get 72, we are going to plug it into the, well, not really plug it in. We're going to replace this with the 72. So we get negative 12 plus or minus the square root of 72 over 4, because we have those, okay? So, as you can see, 72 is not a perfect square. So that means there's not going to be a pretty number that you can simplify with that. So that means we have to find the biggest perfect square that divides into this, okay? So basically what that means is, like, let's just take 9 and 8, okay? Multiply those equals 72, and the square root of 9 is 3, because you're just trying to find the biggest one that has a pretty number, okay? But you see 4 is also one of those, and it can go into 8, which means that where you haven't found the biggest one, okay? So a trick you can do is 8, the one that goes into it is 4. So that means we're going to divide it by 4 equals 2. And then the other one, this 9, we're going to multiply it by 4. And that equals 36. So those are our two numbers we're going to use, okay? So basically, we're going to take the 36, the square root of that is 6, and the square root of 2 is not a pretty number, so we're just going to keep it as square root of 2. And that's the simplified version of 72, okay? So we're just going to apply that into it. So we're going to get negative 12 plus or minus 6 root 2, all of that over 4, okay? You may think this is fully simplified, but it's not, because these can all be divided by 2, okay? So an easy way to figure out which number to divide them by, you just want to look at all 3 of these numbers. If none of them have a number that all of them can divide into, then you're just going to leave it like that, okay? But let's say one of these is 2. We're going to just erase this real quick, and we're going to pretend this is 2. Oh, all of these divide by 2. So which one do I divide by 2, okay? Or, better yet, what if we do 3, okay? Oh, all these can be divided by 3. So which number do I divide it by? I can see they all have an even number. A 3 that can be divided into them, but which one? So just find the smallest one, 3, and then you divide them all by 3. Because 6 can't go into 3, 12 can't go into 3, okay? So we're going to apply that with the 4, okay? So 4 can't go into any of these, neither can 6 or 12, okay? So none of these can go into any of these, but 2 can go into all of these. So we're going to divide them all by 2. So negative 6 for the 12, plus or minus 3 for the 6, root 2 over 4. And you may be wondering, why do we not divide the root 2 by 2? That's because the 6 root 2, that's its own number, okay? So this is one number, it's just simplified. It's the same thing as the square root of 72, okay? So basically, we're just going to take this, and we're going to divide it by 2, okay? So think about it. If you have 3 root 2 and 6 root 2, 3 root 2 is half of that, right? Because it's root 2 times 3 and root 2 times 6, okay? So basically, that's going to be half. So we don't apply it to the root, okay? So, believe it or not, that's our answer, okay? So an answer solution to a quadratic is basically, you have your parabola, that's what the shape is called, okay? So basically, this answer is going to be the x-intercepts, where it crosses that line. That's the answer to a quadratic. This is the answer. How you get 2 answers from this is because there's a positive and a negative. So if it's like a pretty number, like, where did it go? I think we erased it, okay? But the pretty number one that we did earlier, you do the stuff like 6 plus the pretty number divided by 4 will equal this one, or like one of them, and then the other one will equal the other one, okay? So if it's a negative though, it's not necessarily the negative answer, because maybe this is bigger than this, and so it'll stay positive, okay? So that's basically the basics of the quadratic formula. Thanks for watching. Come back next time. We're going to go more in depth, and we're going to find other ways to solve quadratics, and we're also going to learn some tricks to help you with the quadratic formula. And don't forget to subscribe so you can get notified when those come out. Yeah, thanks for watching.